Welcome back, Curry Crew. Today we have another delicious recipe for you. Now, today we're going back to the restaurant and we're gonna be making Red Lobster's Cheddar Biscuits. Along with that, we're also gonna be making a delicious vegetarian gravy for everybody out there who doesn't eat sausage or doesn't wanna have red meat. You can have a great vegetarian gravy that's gonna taste flavorful with wonderful spices in there, and it's gonna go perfect with the cheddar biscuits that we're gonna be making. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into our recipe. We're gonna interrupt your video right now just to let you know that we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, guys. So if you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down there so that you can watch all of the new videos that we post every week. We're gonna post 2 videos every week. You wanna make sure you see those recipes. So click subscribe and then punch that notification bell so you know when the videos come out. And now, back to your video.
For our biscuits, start with 1 cup of all-purpose flour in a large mixing bowl, and then into this we're gonna add in half a tablespoon of sugar and then half a tablespoon of baking powder. Next, add in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and now this next ingredient is optional, but we're also adding in a pinch of cayenne. And then we'll be adding in half a cup of buttermilk, but if you don't have buttermilk, feel free to use milk, or you can mix 1 teaspoon of lemon juice with milk until you reach half a cup of milk and the lemon juice combo. Next, take 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter and melt it in the microwave, and then it goes into the mixing bowl with the other ingredients. Now, using a rubber spatula, give it all a nice mix until the ingredients are well combined and our dough starts to come together. Once the dough comes together, we will add in 6 ounces of shredded cheddar cheese, and we will start kneading our dough with our hands to fully incorporate the cheese into the biscuit dough. You should try and shred the cheese yourself, since pre-shredded cheese often has anti-caking agents in it which will prevent the cheese from melting properly, and when it cools, it will form lumps or cause parts of the biscuits to be chunky. Instead, shred your own cheese so that way it can melt evenly and be spread throughout each bite. Once the dough is formed and all of the cheese has been folded into the dough properly, let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, preheat your oven to about 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 230 degrees Celsius, and then once the oven is hot enough, we will portion out our dough to form our biscuits. All in all, this recipe should make about 5 to 6 cheddar biscuits, so try and make each one around the same size. Once the oven is hot enough, take a baking sheet and either use some baking paper or grease the bottom of the pan in order to prevent the biscuits from sticking, and then start forming out your biscuits into balls, after which we will slightly press down on them to flatten them a tiny bit and then place them on the baking tray. Once all of the biscuits are formed and placed onto the tray, into the oven it goes for about 8 to 12 minutes or until the biscuits rise and turn nice and golden brown. Remember, they will get a bit darker as they cool, so plan accordingly. While our biscuits are baking, let's make our vegetarian gravy to go with them. So into a saucepan, add in 3 tablespoons of butter and allow it to melt over medium to low heat. Once the butter is melted and is nice and foamy, into this we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of onion powder and give it a nice mix. After which we will add in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and give it another mix. Next, add in 1/4 teaspoon of paprika and give it another mix. Next, we will add in 4 tablespoons of flour, and we will mix and cook out our flour until it turns slightly golden brown and becomes fragrant. We need to make sure we cook out our flour, or else we're going to risk getting E. coli, so you have to make sure your flour is cooked properly. Once the flour is cooked and is nice and fragrant, we will then start to add in our milk a little bit at a time while whisking to prevent clumps. All in all, we're using 1 cup of milk, and make sure to warm it up slightly beforehand. This will also help to prevent any clumps from forming in your gravy. Once all of the milk has been incorporated into the pan, we will then add in 1 to 2 teaspoons of black pepper and also salt to taste. Give it one final whisk, and our gravy is also done. So you can set it aside and you can check up on your biscuits. Once your biscuits are nice and golden brown, take them out of the oven, and now we're going to top them with some herb butter. So take 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and then into this add in 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and 1/4 teaspoon of some dried rosemary and oregano. Give it a quick mix, And then we're going to apply the herb butter to the top of our biscuits. And once that is done, our biscuits are ready for us to dig into. So to serve the biscuits with our gravy, we're going to take one biscuit, which we're going to cut it in half, and it's going to be nice and warm. And then what we're going to do is we're going to top it up with some of our vegetarian gravy on both sides. And there you have it, guys. Our homemade cheddar biscuits with vegetarian gravy is ready for us to enjoy. So let's dig in and taste.
So guys, here is our final dish. It smells so good. So I'm gonna take a bite right now with our gravy, our biscuit on top. Oh man. Guys, that is finger licking good. You guys need to try this out for yourself because it's so delicious. If you're a fan of the Red Lobster cheddar biscuits, this is the perfect homemade version of that. If you're a fan of biscuits and gravy, perfect for that as well. Especially if you're vegetarian and you feel like, oh, you know, I need to figure out what I've been missing out on all these years. This is where you figure it out. So you guys need to try this out for yourself. You're gonna fall in love because it's so tasty, cheesy, flavorful, spicy, delicious. Try it out. It's making my mouth water so much. So try it out and keep on cooking.